had just begun its climb, spilling gold across the horizon as waves lapped gently against the wooden boat of Daniel, a humble fisherman. The sea was both his friend and his rival. Some days it gave him plenty, other days it mocked him with empty nets. Yet he never cursed the waters, for he had learned from his late father that the sea had a spirit, one that must be respected with patience and gratitude. On this particular morning, Daniel felt a strange stillness in the air. The gulls that usually circled above his boat were quiet, and the wind carried a salty whisper that seemed almost like a warning. Still, he cast his net into the water, hoping for fish that would feed his family. He was poor, but his heart was rich with kindness, and that was why everyone in his small coastal village respected him. After some time, his net grew heavy, tugging at the side of his boat. "Ah, today must be a blessed day," he said to himself, pulling it in with all his strength. But when the net broke the surface, his breath caught in his throat. It was not filled with fish. Entangled in the coarse ropes was a young mermaid, her long hair tangled with seaweed and her silver tail shimmering in the rising sunlight. She struggled weakly, her eyes wide with fear and pain. The net had caught into her delicate skin, and each movement only tightened its grip. Daniel froze. He had heard tales of mermaids from old fishermen, creatures of beauty and mystery, sometimes said to bless sailors, other times said to lure them to their doom. But seeing one before his eyes, fragile and suffering, he felt no fear. Instead, his heart swelled with compassion. The mermaid's voice was faint, like the murmur of waves against sand. "Please, help me. The net, it hurts." Daniel set aside his paddle and knelt beside her. "Be still," he said gently. "I will free you." He drew his fishing knife, careful not to frighten her, and began cutting the ropes. The strands were thick and wet, biting into her scales. Each time the blade sliced through, she let out a soft gasp, but her eyes never left his face. They were eyes full of questions. Why would a human help her when so many feared or haunted her kind? After several minutes of careful work, the last knot gave way, and the mermaid gasped in relief as the net slid off her body. Her tail flicked weakly in the water. She tried to dive back into the sea, but exhaustion kept her clinging to the edge of the boat. "You are safe now," Daniel said, offering her a hand. "Rest, no harm will come to you." Tears glistened in her arms. "Why? Why did you free me? You could have sold me for gold. Many humans would have." Daniel shook his head. "What worth is gold if it comes from another's suffering? My father taught me that every creature of the sea has life, and every life has value. Today it was you in the net. Tomorrow it could be me caught in a storm. Shouldn't we help one another?" The mermaid stared at him, her heart touched by his words. "You speak with wisdom, fisherman. Few among your kind see us as more than stories or prizes." She rested for a while, then dipped back into the water, her strength slowly returning. Before disappearing beneath the waves, she turned to him and said, "I owe you my life. But more than that, I owe you my gratitude. The sea has heard your kindness. One day, when you are in need, call upon me, and I will come." With a graceful flick of her tail, she vanished into the blue depths, leaving Daniel alone with his thoughts. That evening, Daniel returned home with an empty boat, for he had caught no fish that day. But when his wife asked what had happened, he simply smiled. "The sea tested me today. I caught no fish, but I learned that kindness weighs more than a full net." And his children, though hungry, listened wide-eyed as he told them the story of the mermaid. Days turned into weeks. The fishing grew harder, and many in the village began to complain. Some cursed the sea, others grew greedy and set cruel traps that killed fish needlessly. But Daniel remained patient, casting his net with gratitude and never taking more than he needed. One night, as the storm raged and waves tossed his boat like a toy, Daniel feared his end had come. The sky cracked with thunder, and the sea rose high, threatening to swallow him whole. In desperation, he remembered the mermaid's words. With all his strength, he cried into the storm, "If you hear me, spirit of the sea, help me now." From the darkness beneath the waves, a soft glow appeared. The mermaid rose, her silver tail gleaming like a lantern. She swam beside his boat, singing a song that calmed the raging waters. The winds grew gentle, the waves parted, and Daniel's boat floated safely back to shore. Exhausted but alive, he fell to his knees on the sand, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you," he whispered into the night. The mermaid appeared one last time, her voice clear and strong. Kindness is never forgotten. When we show compassion to even those who are different from us, we create bonds that protect and bless us in return. Respect for nature and for life itself is the greatest treasure a person can hold. With that, she vanished, leaving only the echo of her song. From that day forward, Daniel became not just a fisherman, but a teacher. He told his children and his village the lesson of the mermaid. Respect the sea. Take only what you need. Show kindness, for it will return to you in ways you cannot imagine. And though he never saw her again, every time the sun sparkled on the water or the waves sang against the rocks, Daniel felt her presence. He knew he had made a friend not just in the mermaid, but in the great spirit of the sea. Echo of the story. Kindness is never wasted. When you show compassion, even to those who are different from us, we create bonds that protect and bless us in return. Respect for nature and for life itself is the greatest treasure a person can hold.